Good morning, You Can Help family. How are you doing today? I'm thankful that we're spending time together. And I was brushing my teeth this morning and thinking, like, what an honor that we get to have devotion time together, right? We're devoting time to the Bible, to the Lord, and learning a few things on the way as well. So I think that's pretty cool. If there's anybody you think would like to join us in the morning, share these videos with them and let them in on this time that we have together. So we're going to read 2 Chronicles Chapter 31 to get the good word in us. But before that, I just want to talk for a second about building confidence. And for those of us coming out of unhealthy relationships and we've been knocked down, that can be a very difficult thing to do. And the best way that we can go about getting our confidence up is doing things afraid, doing things that we normally don't do, doing things that'll put us a little bit out of our comfort zone. I know for me, I've got this gala dinner coming up where I'm going to be talking about me heading up the fundraising committee for the silent auction. This is something I've never done, right? But I'm going to decide to take a chance on trying something new that makes me a little bit uncomfortable so I can learn and grow. And in return, my confidence will be built by the end of this thing. Right now, it looks a little overwhelming and daunting, but how else are we going to push ourselves and grow? It's easy to keep doing the same thing we've been doing over and over because we're comfortable with that, right? That's easy. But it's when we have this idea or this opportunity that's different and that's new to us, where we say, hey, I'm going to take a chance on me and I'm going to give it a try. And let some confidence building come into play. So what is that thing that you've been wanting to do, but you're a little bit nervous, you're a little bit afraid, it brings a little bit of anxiety to you? Go ahead and push yourself a little bit and give it a whirl, give it a try. And the worst thing that can happen is you're just in the same position you were when you started. There's no harm in trying. And if you try, you haven't failed because you tried. And then now and you can see what needs to be adjusted, or you might say, I will never do that again, but at least that confidence muscle is being built. So go ahead and think about some things that you want to try, that you've been putting off, and embrace building your confidence this weekend. That's good. That's good. Okay, so now, as promised, we're going to read our Bible. 2 Chronicles Chapter 31, Destruction of the Idols. Now, when the festival ended, the Israelites who attended went to all the towns of Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh, and they smashed the sacred pillars, cut down the Asherah poles, and removed the pagan shrines and altars. After this, the Israelites returned to their own towns and homes. Contribution from the priests and Levites. Hezekiah then organized the priests and Levites into divisions to offer the burnt offerings and peace offerings, and to worship and give thanks and praise to the Lord at the gates of the temple. The king also made a personal contribution of animals for the daily morning and evening burnt offerings, as well as for the weekly Sabbath festivals and monthly new moon festivals, and for other annual festivals as required in the law of the Lord. In addition, he required the people in Jerusalem to bring the prescribed portion of their income to the priests and Levites so they could devote themselves fully to the law of the Lord. The people responded immediately and generously with the first of their crops and grain, new wine, olive oil, honey, and all the produce of their fields. They brought a tithe of all they owned. The people who had moved to Judah from Israel and the people of Judah themselves brought in the tithes of their cattle and sheep, and a tithe of the things that had been dedicated to the Lord their God. And they piled them up in great heaps. The first of these tithes were brought in late spring, and the heaps continued to grow until early autumn. When Hezekiah and his officials came and saw these huge piles, They thanked the Lord and his people Israel. Where did all this come from? Hezekiah asked the priests and Levites. And Azariah, the high priest from the family of Zadok, replied, Since the people began bringing their gifts to the Lord's temple, we have had enough to eat and plenty to spare, for the Lord has blessed his people. Reorganization of the priests and Levites. Hezekiah decided to have storerooms prepared in the temple of the Lord, and this was done. Then all the gifts and tithes were faithfully brought to the temple. Conaniah the Levite was put in charge, assisted by his brother Shimei. The supervisors under them were Jehiel, Azaziah, Nahath, Ashel, Jeremoth, Jozabad, Eliel, Ismachiah, Mahath, and Benaniah. These appointments were made by King Hezekiah and Azariah, the chief official in the temple of God. Kor, son of Imnah, the Levite, who was the gatekeeper at the east gate, was put in charge of distributing the freewill offerings of God, the gifts, and the things that had been dedicated to the Lord. His faithful assistants were Eden, Menamin, Jeshua, Shemaiah, Amariah, and Shechaniah. They distributed the gifts among the families of the priests in their towns by their divisions, dividing the gifts fairly among young and old alike. They also distributed the gifts to all males 3 years old and older, regardless of their place in the genealogical records, who came daily to the Lord's temple to perform their official duties by their divisions. And they distributed gifts to the priests who were listed in the genealogical records by families, and to the Levites 20 years old or older, who were listed according to their jobs and their divisions. Food allotments were also given to all the families listed in the genealogical records, including the little babies, the wives, the sons and daughters, for they had all been faithful in purifying themselves. As for the priests, the descendants of Aaron, who were living in the open villages around the towns, men were appointed to distribute portions to every male among the priests and to all the Levites listed in the genealogical records. In this way, King Hezekiah handled the distribution throughout all Judah, doing what was pleasing and good in the sight of the Lord his God. In all that he did in service of the temple of God and in his efforts to follow the law and the commands, Hezekiah sought his God wholeheartedly. As a result, he was very successful. Well, that's a good way to end chapter 31. I mean, just that last part, serving the Lord wholeheartedly, serving God with your whole heart, and as a result, success. I think that's a pretty good formula for today. So yeah, let's tie that into our building confidence. If God puts something in you and you've been afraid to do it, don't be. God will have you succeed in his way, right? And maybe that succeeding is that thing not working out, but because you tried, you have succeeded. That making sense? So yeah, let's serve the Lord wholeheartedly today. If he put something on your heart that you've been putting off, go ahead and give it a try. Let me know how it goes. Take your deep breath, ground yourself, and have a wonderful day today. Have a wonderful day. Always remember, true healing begins with self-love. Why? Because God is love, and he lives on the inside of you. Bye for now.